Ashe, Ashe, y'all. Welcome to another classic video. That's all we dropping from here on out. And be on the lookout for Crimson and Azure. That's DJ Crimson and Azure, the DJs. Okay. Now I'm not gonna get in depth about that. All I can tell you is keep your eyes and ears peeled for the best music ever. This is going to be the best music ever in the history of such a thing. Crimson and Azure, or DJ Crimson and DJ Azure. The best music ever. Okay? This is some Michael Jackson type shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to front on y'all. I'm not here to front on y'all today. I'm here to bring it in a special way. I want y'all to ground your feet to the earth. Okay? If it's not too hot, and if the climate permits, crack your window. Open your window. Let some fresh air, let that air circulate in your living space. Don't keep that same stagnant air all up in the air. These are spiritual messages from Phoenix Queen and myself to the collective. Okay? Eat as little meat as possible. There's another spiritual message coming out. When you can, get you some berries, get you some melons, watermelon, cantaloupe, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. Eat that, snack on that. Push them potato chips to the side, push that ham sandwich to the side. Start eating some salads. Start eating fresher. Start taking salt baths. When you bath, get you some salt baths. If you take showers, find you some shea butter soap. I always look for the shea butter with the frankincense and myrrh infused in it. And I find that and I work with that. But start taking salt baths and start being more holistic in your approaches. Look over your natal chart. Look at your natal chart. See where your houses are. You say, I always have my... Me too. Yeah. But yeah, more holistic approaches are grounding your feet, getting fresh air, going out, getting at least every day, y'all. Because a lot of times, a lot of y'all are in the metro areas, and we know how that goes. But at least a few hours of nature every day. Okay? And thank me and the Phoenix Queen later. Because it's going to work out. If you follow those steps, if you try those things out, it's going to help. Start putting clays on your face. Natural, start getting your natural minerals that you haven't been getting over the years. Implement that. Start a new regimen. Every day, wake up, meditate, listen to your tones. Okay? Those tones work. Trying fresh herbs. I got peppermint herbs in the house, man. I'm always on my mints, especially after my solar return has passed. Right after my birthday in the year, I always stock up on that peppermint herb around October-ish, and I keep it up until my rising time, around that Lionsgate time. And around, I'm picking up on an energy around Lionsgate time this year. Crimson and Azure project, we're going to be working on that. That's going to be in the works. So as I told y'all, stay on the lookout for that. But so much for the small talk. Today, this video is about, I'm going to give you 24 potential reasons why the ancestors lived longer than this current generation. Okay? This is a very key video. It's very informative. A lot of people wonder. You look in the biblical times. You look way back to Moses and Methuselah, and Methuselah lived 900 plus years of a life. You know what I'm saying? That dude was grounded like a mug. You know what I'm saying? He walked around with no shoes on his whole life to live like that. You know what I'm saying? 900 plus years of age. You know, but this is why they lived longer back then. One thing is they were more active than we are nowadays. Our ancestors generally led physical active lives. They engaged in such activities as hunting, gathering, farming. Some of them were just, meditators and medicine men and women, and they grounded for a living. That was their jobs. And to get people the right the right medicine plants and the right crystals and stuff. This was their job. So they had to move around a lot, especially around here. And I'm finding out there's a lot of gems and crystals in the soil here on the ancestors' land. Agate and pyrite and stuff like this. All these not herbs, all these crystals and stuff, they come from the earth. So they came from out of the soil. So that's just something to think about. And I've been researching the soil here and what type of crystals might be here. Looking into that and what's prevalent here. And I'm going to line up my mantras and my meditation and my tones and stuff with that energy of the things that's in the soil here and align it. We all about alignment here. And we all about unity consciousness as well, y'all. Okay? Let's get off of this tip of he looks like this or she looks like that, so I'm going to treat her this way or that way. We all on the equal playing field, man. You know what I'm saying? Stop tripping. The next reason why our ancestors lived longer back then is their diets. Their diets were typically composed of whole, unprocessed foods. You know what I'm saying? Nah, they wasn't pulling up at Wendy's. They wasn't pulling up at Southern Classic Chicken for a 10-piece with spicy fry. They wasn't pulling up at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? For the master milkshake. Nah, our ancestors were eating nuts, berries, fruit, vegetables, grains, and lean proteins when they ate meat. They didn't eat a lot, but when they did, they didn't eat much of it. And the meat that they ate back then was more, they dealing with that GMO-ish nowadays. This was natural meat, like goat meat and deer meat and antelope and venison and things such as this. It was the real meat. They have an artificial meat nowadays, y'all. They coming with that fake meat, that plastic meat, back then. So we already know if they ate better, there was a limit on processed, back then on unprocessed food. There wasn't a lot of processed food. So nowadays we eat a lot of processed food. That's another reason why we getting cut short. You see what I'm saying? They had minimal access to processed and unrefined foods that are often high in unhealthy fats, added sugars, and a lot of preservatives. When you loading up on those chemicals that they put in the foods to actually preserve them and keep them on the shelf, to make that cha-ching, to make that money, I told y'all, a lot of people are caught up in that. It's all about the things that you can't see. That's what's most important. Back in the day, they had lower stress levels. Compared to modern society, our ancestors were likely experiencing lower levels of chronic stress. I'm talking about our indigenous ancestors. I ain't talking about the ancestors they put their hands on. I'm talking about prior to that, when we were kings and queens, y'all. Y'all got to remember, I'm a Scorpio. I can go beneath the surface. I can go back to that time. You know what I'm saying? And once upon a time, you know how they frown upon indigenous people nowadays and hate them and all. Once upon a time, we was the best thing since sliced bread. You see what I'm saying? We still are the best thing since sliced bread, but they forgot that, and we have to remind them. So in this day and time, there's a lot of stress, a lot of distractions, and chronic levels, higher levels of chronic stress bring on health issues. There were stronger social connections back then. A family was a family back then. Way back when, you said Arkansas. Ooh, Arkansas got a lot of minerals, man. It does. Salt baths are a great energy reset. They are. Magnesium. That's the thing in that Epsom salt that does it. That's what does the trick. That magnesium. It calms your nerves. It heals your nerves. Wherever you have nerve damage or a muscle or a tendon or something ain't acting right, or like a joint or some cartilage up in there ain't getting right, that magnesium, taps it on that ass. Salt baths. Okay, I read that. Ooh, I think about that all the time. I'm trying to read everything you wrote. You was mixing some Michael Jackson? Oh, you gotta send me that. My mom loves your music too. Just a little FYI. I'll be bumping when I bumped that what was that song you sent me? That the Summertime. Fresh Prince, Will Smith. Yeah, she liked that. And I want to send an Ashe and a good morning to you. Sometimes I get up in the messages, babe. You know how it goes. So I don't really be paying attention. But when you in here like this, I'm going to pause and get it in. Another classic. These are my best videos, by the way, y'all. Y'all can watch my old content. And like I said, you know, I got a gang of content on my page. You know what I'm saying? And y'all welcome to it. But these newer videos is finna be the shit. You know what I'm saying? The Shiat, Crimson, Azure. You know what I'm saying? Straight like that. Crimson, Azure. Crimson, Azure. Crimson, Azure. Yeah, the families were families back then, though, y'all. You know, we loved one another infinitely. A strong, divine love. Nowadays, you people just playing games, man. I know because of how I've been doing this here on Instagram and YouTube, how fake motherfuckers is and how they play games. And I know through my family, my blood family, how fake mofos can be as well. Okay? My spiritual family, I've never had an issue with Nova, with you, babe, with Sarah, the lady Sarah Dorland is part of my spiritual family, her and her children. Never had an issue. But anybody else, you know, they flaky. People are flaky. And you know what I'm saying? And they act like they want to support you or whatever, but, you know, sit on your ass. Next, they were closer to nature back then, y'all. Yeah, they lived a lot longer because they had regular exposure to natural environments, which can have a positive effect and impact on physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health. They had regular sunlight exposure. You know, y'all know we sit up in the house nowadays. I don't, but you know, I just speak for the, you know, y'all know how I do. I improvise around this piece, you know. But spending time outdoors exposed them to sunlight, promoting vitamin D synthesis in the body, promoting their lives. Ain't sitting up in some office building on the 10th floor, way away from the grounding that Mother Gaia provides, way up on the 33rd floor. Shout out to everybody that's in the house right now. I see a lot of y'all in here. Somebody said, add me. Add me. You know what I'm saying? Add me first. Also, there were limited environmental toxins, y'all. Okay? The exposure to these industrial pollutants nowadays is taking people in the collective out, man. Chemicals, environmental toxins was environmental toxins were significantly lower in those days, basically. Infectious diseases, y'all. Hear this one, y'all. Infectious diseases were prevalent in our ancestors' immune systems, may have developed a stronger resistance, okay, because they wasn't eating all that meat. They weren't pulling up the Burger King, ordering everything on the menu except "thank you, please come again." You know, they were eating a lot of natural. They had natural remedies. They had traditional herbal medicines and herbal plant. More of that was more prevalent back then. Now, okay, we still have it today, but they're not gonna lead you in that direction. You know what I'm saying? They caught up in that bullshit, y'all, for reals. But traditional herbal remedies and natural healing practices may help prolong our ancestors' lives and help them with certain health issues. Physical fitness, regularly physically being active helped maintain muscle strength and joint flexibility and overall vitality in our ancestors' bodies. Their cultural practices help with this too, y'all. Their rituals, their beliefs, their customs contributed to overall well-being mentally, physically, spiritually, and physically. And their stress was reduced because they were connected to source. There were lower rates of sedentary behavior back then. With limited technology, they didn't have the iPhone and the Apple Pro headset, the goggles. They didn't have the Pro Vision back then. Okay, so they were generally more active in nature throughout the day. They weren't connected to technology. Now, I want to send another ashe and shout out to everybody who clicked on this video, because this is another classic. Know that. There was limited exposure to environmental pollutants. The cars, when they pass by, they're pumping out that carbon monoxide into the environment, and they didn't have that back then. So there was fewer exposures to air pollution, you know what I'm saying? To water pollution, to synthetic chemicals, because they weren't made back then yet, and other harmful substances and things that are presented to you in services that we call services, but it's really exposure to chemicals. Okay, just want to put that out there. The sleep quality was greater back then, y'all. A more natural and consistent sleep-wake cycle, circadian rhythm, along with a reduced exposure to artificial light, blue light. I always encourage people, get a red light. When you sleep at night, when you chill, when you meditate in your room, have a red light. I do, okay? Me and the goddess got that. And this reduced exposure to blue light may have promoted better sleep quality. So y'all remember that. Set your devices, when you set them to blue light mode to get that blue light out of there. Yeah, there's a little brown tint to the screen, but it's blocking the blue light that's ruining your eyesight and messing up your sleep pattern. Back then, there were lower rates of obesity. A combination of physical activity and natural diets and limited access to processed foods likely contributed to lower obesity rates, y'all. Check it out. Early childhood nutrition was better back then. Everybody breastfed back then. Nowadays, it's a choice. My child was breastfed, okay? A lot in this piece. But breastfeeding and a natural, nutrient-rich diet during early childhood has lasting health benefits that can prolong your life as well. Resilience. The resilience was tougher back then, y'all. They were stronger. Living in challenging environments and facing periodic hardships may have promoted resilience and adaptability in our ancestors. Yep. I want to pause, send an ashe to our ancestors right now, y'all. Shout out to you and yours. It's the real. But yeah, there are there are infinite factors to why our ancestors lived to be 30,000 and 50 and 60,000 years old, y'all. It's a lot. I would be out here all day. But shout out to the spiritual fam. I came, I saw, I conquered. Azure, Crimson, Azure.